Alex Eala. Like,
oh my gosh.
She's already popular as it is, and now she's having a Wimbledon moment. And there is something I think about Wimbledon and the US Open to some extent, but players doing well at Wimbledon, it just takes you to another level. And
rocket ship. And she won her match today against Iga Swiatek, a match that I thought for sure she had a chance to win. And I wanted to ask you, because I think for some people anyway, it seems like this has come as a...
Who could have imagined that a 21-year-old tennis player from the Philippines would unexpectedly become the biggest attraction at Wimbledon? As soon as Alex Eala's remarkable journey came to an end, many fans felt the tournament lost much of its energy. The excitement seemed to fade. Conversations across social media slowed. Reports suggested ticket prices dropped. And the women's final struggled to create the same level of anticipation. Almost immediately, one question began circulating everywhere. Had Wimbledon unknowingly seen its biggest breakout star leave the tournament before championship weekend had even begun?
At the glorious sports awards,
Alex Eala looked so good.
So good. Her uncle made that dress for her.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really? Yeah, her uncle made that dress for her in 2 days. They literally designed it in, she was my favorite. She looked like the princess of the Philippines.
Yeah, that's what you said. I 100% agree.
It's incredible how fast the mood surrounding a major sporting event can change. Sometimes one unforgettable performance is enough to turn an entire tournament into the most talked about event in the world. But just as quickly, one unexpected defeat can shift the atmosphere, leaving fans feeling that something important is suddenly missing. That dramatic change became impossible to ignore during the final days of Wimbledon 2026.
I really didn't think I'd be making this many videos about women's tennis at Wimbledon, but once I researched Alex Eala's story, I couldn't resist this one. If you don't already know the name of Alex Eala, get ready, because she is the first Filipino tennis player to make it through to the third round of a Grand Slam's singles tournament at Wimbledon. But that isn't the best thing about her story. In August last year, Eala wore a t-shirt designed by Manila-based designer Georgina Camus, which featured the national flower of the Philippines, the sampagita.
Wimbledon has always been known as a tournament that rises above any individual player. For decades, tennis has proudly promoted the belief that the event itself is always the biggest star. However, the closing stages of the 2026 championships presented a surprising twist to that long-held tradition, as the tournament appeared to lose much of its momentum after one breakout player was no longer in the draw.
Kevin spoke about Alex Eala, and honestly, every time that you guys speak about Eala in an off-court cuts or a full episode, those videos and those episodes seem to reach a lot more people. There's obviously a lot of hype behind Eala. And Greg, do you have any idea of why this is?
Well, easily. The Philippines, they haven't had a superstar in tennis. I can't remember a Philippine tennis player that's had the hype in a junior world number one, trains with Rafael Nadal, has beaten Rybakina, Svitolina, won the tournament.
The biggest discussion was no longer centered on the player who eventually lifted the Wimbledon trophy. Instead, the spotlight remained on the player who was no longer competing. For nearly a week, Alex Eala became the name everyone in the tennis world was talking about. Every match, every headline, and every conversation seemed to lead back to the young Filipina, whose remarkable run had captured the imagination of millions around the globe.
Watched Alex Eala beat the reigning Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek. What was that like to watch?
It's one of those special moments you get to share with an athlete who's just beginning on her journey, and it was really kind of inspiring, actually.
Who is your all-time tennis hero?
You know, today I'm going to say Tim Henman. I love how he's humble, insanely accomplished.
Who do you have on to win Wimbledon this year?
Oh, God, that's such a big question.
Probably Djokovic, for the service he's given to tennis. I want Coco to get her third slam.
Every highlight reel featured Alex Eala's biggest moments. Sports pages across the Philippines celebrated each new milestone she achieved, while even people who rarely followed women's tennis found themselves staying awake through the night just to watch a young Filipina chase history on the sport's most prestigious stage. Then everything changed. Her hard-fought 3-set loss to Jasmine Paolini brought one of Wimbledon 2020 SXS most captivating stories to an end. There was no controversy, no dramatic injury, and no heated exchange with officials. Paolini simply produced the better performance over 3 competitive sets. Under normal circumstances, that would have been the conclusion of the story. Instead, it sparked an even bigger conversation. Within hours of Eala's elimination, social media filled with posts and screenshots claiming resale ticket prices around center court had dropped noticeably. Whether every image accurately reflected the market became almost irrelevant because fans had already embraced the larger narrative. Many believed the tournament had lost something special the moment Alex Eala exited the draw. Ticket prices naturally rise and fall throughout every major sporting event. But what surprised so many observers was how quickly the excitement surrounding the women's tournament appeared to fade after her departure. Just 2 days earlier, center court had witnessed one of its loudest and most unforgettable ovations of the entire championship.
Even Federer had to pull up to watch Eala. That's how phenomenal she has been over this last week and a bit. But Ayala's run is done. She is out of Wimbledon. She showed fight, she showed grit, she showed determination. But today was just the beginning of something special. Big shout out to Jasmine Paolini, who's into another quarterfinal at Wimbledon. She beat Eala in 3 unbelievable sets of tennis with momentum going back and forth, and she just...
That unforgettable victory over defending Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek instantly became one of the defining moments of the tournament. Eala survived a thrilling opening set tiebreak before taking complete control in the second set, delivering a performance that stunned the tennis world. Watching one of the sport's biggest stars fall on its most iconic stage would have been memorable regardless of the opponent. But seeing it happen against a 21-year-old from Manila transformed the match into something far greater than a simple upset. It felt like the arrival of tennis' next global attraction. Match highlights spread across social media within minutes. Wimbledon shared clips across its official platforms, engagement soared, and fans from every corner of the world rushed to learn more about Alex Eala. Filipino communities celebrated every point with enormous pride, turning each match into a national event. Suddenly, this was no longer just another fourth-round contest. It had become the emotional heartbeat of Wimbledon. That is why her defeat to Jasmine Paolini carried so much weight beyond the final score. The tournament continued as planned, but the storyline that had captured millions of viewers disappeared almost overnight. The timing only made the situation more noticeable because, as Wimbledon approached championship weekend, another major attraction had also been eliminated. Coco Gauff, one of the biggest stars in women's tennis and one of the sport's strongest commercial draws, was no longer in contention, leaving the tournament without 2 of its most talked-about players.
Alex Eala is good on grass. And like, guys, last year we were talking about how she could possibly beat Barbara Krejcikova. Did everyone forget what happened last year?
It's so striking to see how she and Eva Jovic, who I kind of always group them together because they're besties, are so confident on grass. And we're seeing right now this kind of top of the WTA tour that is really not confident on grass. We have this kind of generation of players who've been recently dominant.
When both Coco Gauff and Alex Eala were no longer part of the tournament's final stages, many casual sports fans quietly turned their attention elsewhere. That should never be seen as taking anything away from the eventual champion. Linda Noskova fully earned her Wimbledon title, battling through a demanding draw before defeating fellow Czech Karolina Machova 6-2, 5-7, 6-3 to capture her first Grand Slam championship. It was a remarkable achievement, and one that deserved every bit of recognition. Yet sports can be unforgiving when it comes to timing. Sometimes an athlete delivers the greatest performance of their career, while the spotlight remains fixed on another story. That appeared to be the case at Wimbledon. Instead of focusing entirely on Noskovia's historic victory, social media continued buzzing about Alex Eala. fans debated her future ranking, revisited her stunning win over IGA Swiatek, discussed her chances at the upcoming US Open, and replayed highlights from her unforgettable run. Even conversations about ticket demand kept returning to the same player. Imagine winning one of the world's biggest tennis tournaments, only to find that one of the most talked about names afterward belongs to someone eliminated several rounds earlier. That says very little about Noskovia's achievement, and everything about the extraordinary attention Alex Eala managed to generate throughout the championship.
She chose to honor her heritage but also send a message of strength, with this Filipino phrase embroidered into the back of her visor. It said, "Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto," which translates to, "Once it starts growing, it won't stop." I love that, and the more I researched about Eala, I found out that she is definitely a fashion girly who loves to wear a lot of colour on the tennis court, but she's also very intentional about how she dresses, often honouring her Filipino heritage on the tennis court and the red carpet.
By reaching the latter stages of Wimbledon, Alex Eala earned one of the biggest prize checks of her young career, while moving closer to a projected career-high ranking of around world number 28. That milestone alone represented a historic moment for Philippine tennis, as no Filipina had ever climbed that high in the rankings. But the numbers only told part of the story. Across Asia and among Filipino communities around the world, Wimbledon suddenly felt more personal because a player who shared their culture, their language, and their dreams was competing on one of tennis' biggest stages. That kind of connection cannot be created through advertising or marketing campaigns. It happens naturally when fans genuinely see themselves reflected in an athlete's journey. Tennis has witnessed similar moments before. Emma Raducanu's US Open triumph inspired millions across Britain. Coco Gauff's rise attracted a new generation of young fans, and Leylah Fernandez captivated Canada with her unforgettable run in New York. Alex Eala is creating that same emotional connection for Filipinos across North America, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Australia, turning each of her matches into an event that reaches far beyond the traditional tennis audience. That growing global appeal explains why broadcasters, tournament organizers, and sponsors are paying such close attention to her rapid rise. One exciting young player can completely reshape viewing habits and introduce an entirely new audience to the sport. Ironically, despite all the attention surrounding her, Eala herself has remained grounded. After her loss to Jasmine Paolini, she simply admitted that her serve was not at the level it needed to be on that day.
But the run that Eala had over this last week was something special and something that she can truly be proud of, and something that she's going to build upon. We've seen the birth of a superstar in this game, and I'm convinced of that. The way that she played, the determination she plays with, the amount of people that are behind her watching her play. She's box office, but all in all, it's a week that she can be proud of, and it's a week that she can build up on. 2026 has been a building year, and she is building so.
Rather than searching for excuses or dwelling on disappointment, Alex Eala immediately turned her attention toward the improvements she still wants to make. It was the mindset of an athlete focused on building a long and successful career, instead of reacting emotionally to a single defeat. That maturity has become one of the biggest reasons fans continue supporting her journey. She understands that greatness is measured over seasons and years, not by one afternoon on center court. Even some of tennis' greatest legends have taken notice. Hall of Famer Martina Navratilova praised Eala's competitive spirit throughout Wimbledon, while also pointing out areas that can still improve, especially her serve. Those are the kinds of conversations reserved for players whose futures are considered exceptionally bright. That distinction is important because if Eala is already capable of defeating defending Grand Slam champions while still having obvious room to develop technically, her long-term potential may be even greater than many experts predicted just a few months ago. Meanwhile, interest in her continues to grow both on and off the court. Tournament directors preparing for the North American hardcourt season understand the value of having Alex Eala in the draw. Television networks recognize the audience she attracts, sponsors see her expanding global appeal, and every deep tournament run introduces millions of new fans to both her story and the sport itself.
Supposedly, there was 11 million people in the Philippines that watched that match. I mean, which are astronomical numbers. I've also read that she's got her own pink line of clothes coming out, and her rating for Nike was like a 5-star rating for like in her contract with these sorts of results. So she's box office, she's polite, she's a great tennis player, and wherever you go in the world, it doesn't matter if you're in Indian Wells, if you're in Wimbledon, and you're Paris, you know, it's almost like they're in love with her and they're just dedicated to her career and love.
Despite the massive attention surrounding her, Alex Eala has handled the spotlight with remarkable composure. During Wimbledon, she shared a thoughtful message on social media about resilience, reminding her followers that athletes do not have to win every match to inspire others. She wrote that pressure helps build stronger people, and that life's toughest moments often prepare us for even greater opportunities ahead. After her Wimbledon journey came to an end, those words carried even more meaning. They no longer sounded like a simple motivational post, but like the mindset of a young athlete already looking ahead to her next challenge before the current chapter had fully closed. That outlook could become one of her greatest strengths as expectations continue to rise. Fans are no longer hoping she can simply win a few matches at major tournaments. Many now believe she has the ability to compete with the very best players in the world on tennis' biggest stages. That level of belief brings a completely different kind of pressure, but it is also the kind of pressure reserved for athletes capable of changing the popularity of an entire sport. Years from now, Wimbledon 2026 may be remembered not only for the champion who lifted the Venus Rosewater dish, but also for the young Filipina whose unexpected exit dramatically changed the mood of the tournament.
Really like Alexandra to win it all. That would be such an underdog story, and so nice to see young women achieving their dreams.
So which match are you most excited about for today?
Seeing my stepson play, actually.
That's amazing. What's his name?
Ollie Page.
We're going to be rooting for Ollie Page. Who would be your dream doubles partner?
But I'd say Alcaraz.
Connor Swindells. We did a TV show together called Rogue Heroes. Yeah, probably Connor Swindells, I'd say.
So what's your favourite thing about Wimbledon?
It's the amount of people who can sit and not say anything for such a sustained period of time. I haven't seen it.
When interest noticeably shifts after one player leaves a tournament, it reveals something far more meaningful than statistics ever can. It shows the unique connection that player has built with the audience. Whether the conversation focused on fading excitement, softer ticket demand, or reduced attention surrounding the women's final, they all pointed toward the same conclusion. Alex Eala had become one of the biggest attractions at Wimbledon. The championship still crowned a deserving winner as Linda Noskova completed an outstanding tournament with her victory over Karolina Machova, and nothing should take away from that remarkable achievement. But Wimbledon also reminded the sporting world of an important truth. Championships are decided by the scoreboard, while sporting phenomena are decided by the fans. Fans choose which highlights they replay, which matches they stay awake to watch, and which athletes inspire entire nations to dream. For one unforgettable week on the grass courts of Wimbledon, Alex Eala achieved something that rankings and statistics alone cannot fully capture. She convinced millions of casual viewers that women's tennis had become must-watch entertainment. And when her extraordinary run finally ended, the quiet that followed spoke just as loudly as the cheers that had carried her throughout the tournament.
Even Federer had to pull up to watch Eala. That's how phenomenal she has been over this last week and a bit. But Eala's run is done. She is out of Wimbledon. She showed fight, she showed grit, she showed determination. But today was just the beginning of something special. Big shout out to Jasmine Balolini, who's into another quarterfinal at Wimbledon. She beat Eala in 3 unbelievable sets of tennis with momentum going back and forth, and she just edged it out. But the run that
Now the spotlight shifts to New York, where the US Open offers Alex Eala another opportunity to prove that her Wimbledon breakthrough was not a one-time surprise, but the beginning of a career destined for even greater achievements. If the excitement she generated in London is any indication, the next Grand Slam will not simply be competing to crown another champion. It will also be competing for the attention of millions of fans who have already decided that wherever Alex Eala plays, that is where the biggest story unfolds. There is an even larger lesson here for the WTA. For years, women's tennis has searched for the next generation of stars capable of bringing completely new audiences into the sport rather than simply inheriting existing fans. That type of influence cannot be measured by rankings, trophies, or prize money alone because it creates something even more valuable, lasting supporters who remain invested for years. If Eala continues progressing at this remarkable pace, the conversation surrounding her will soon move beyond surprise victories and Cinderella stories. Instead, people will begin discussing Grand Slam titles, global endorsement deals, and whether she can become one of the defining faces of women's tennis for the next generation. Based on the reaction Wimbledon experienced after her departure, that future may be arriving much sooner than anyone imagined. Because the greatest stars are remembered not only for the matches they win, but for how different the sport feels whenever they are no longer there.